and so is our class. Flowers in a garden. Students are also different in many respects in learning ability, in their aptitudes and inclinations. Just as a garden requires different types of flowers, a classroom becomes enriched by the presence of students of different abilities and aspirations. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in the Maldives, inclusion has always been a part of our society and culture for 1,000 years. In the Maldives, everyone speaks the same language and follows the same religion. Thus, inclusiveness is ingrained in all of us. Our country consists of 1,190 islands, of which about 120 are inhabited. However, in every inhabited island, there is at least one school governed by the Ministry of Education. And there is no one special school to segregate and exclude students. The smaller sizes of our countries enable us to respond to the call of inclusiveness more rapidly. Special education was formally introduced in Maldives in a Maldivian school in 1985. This class adopted a segregated model and only served students with hearing impairment. With time, the services were expanded to other islands and the abilities catered for were increased. And today in all the public schools in the Maldives, we have at least one dedicated teacher who is trained and tasked to assist the late bloomers and others requiring extra support. Despite these positive indicators and efforts, traditional curricula and instructional techniques are still prevalent in our schools, which are not always optimal for students with cognitive, emotional, or physical disabilities. To provide equal access to all, general education has been adopted and modified to cater for the late bloomers and others requiring special assistance. Though schools have been more inclusive spaces, there are significant variations across the country. Firstly, most school buildings do not have disability access. Secondly, there are no mechanisms established within the education sector to identify and address the needs of students with disabilities soon after they begin schooling. Thus, challenges remain which are exacerbated by the geography of our country. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in the Maldives, we are deviating from labeling students by giving emphasis and resources to both diagnosed and suspected cases. As a result, special needs are coping very well.
تشخيص حالتهم ونحن نصبو إلى ضمان
on the legal framework for children with diverse learning needs. We are a signatory to the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. A Disability Act came into existence in 2010, and there are policies at national level focusing on people with disabilities. In the education sector, we have had an inclusive education policy since 2013. Last year, we have revised this policy as per the present government's pledges. Subsequent actions led us to develop our strategic plan for the next 5 years, making inclusive education mainstream. The newly developed education sector plan focuses on promoting quality holistic education by balancing the services provided in the schools for children with special needs. The country hopes to provide quality and holistic education relevant to students' individual capacities and address disparities and ensure gender equivalence. We have made an unrelenting effort to address the barriers for equality and quality among children with disabilities at early ages, decreased dropout and repeater rates. There is also an increased number of private and public schools welcoming children with diverse learning needs. We are paving our paths to establish the universal design for learning systems and a culture that no longer talks about inclusive education, but rather it becomes a way of living and part of everyone's lives. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, in closing, I would like to thank the Education Relief Foundation for their kind invitation to share and learn from this August gathering. In this thanks, I would like to include His Excellency President Ismail Omar Guelleh for the warm welcome extended towards us. We are delighted by the gracious hospitality of Djiboutians. Wassalamu alaikum and thank you.
May we now call on His Excellency Sinton Sulablay, Minister of Education, Palau.
Good morning. Good morning. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me take this time and opportunity and thank the President of Djibouti and President of Education Relief Foundation for inviting His Excellency President Ramazau Jr. and me to this forum. It gives me greater pleasure to be here today on behalf of His Excellency Tamir Ramazau, as he couldn't be here today due to prior commitment. Please allow me 7 minutes as my allotted time to provide you how Palau may achieve its national aspirations and societal visions. Palau shares common context and issues with the other 18 Pacific Island nations as small but large ocean states. Palau, as a nation, we are proud of what we've achieved thus far. We also know that there are many challenges before us. We look forward to working in partnership with you all to achieve our shared vision of balanced and inclusive education for the current generation and for generations to come. In the last 25 years since independence, as a small island but a large ocean state, Palau has established governance and infrastructure supportive of modern nationhood and evolved from a low-income country in 1994 to a high-income country in 2017. Other achievements include universal access to quality health care and education, reducing of poverty amidst a growing economy, a sustainably financed nationwide network of marine protected areas, and enduring regional and global partnerships. Nonetheless, challenges remain due to vulnerabilities as a small island developing state, global economic forces, and climate change. This presentation is organized with 4 pillars which include people, prosperity, planet, peace, participation, and partnership. Within Pillar 1 incorporates people at the center of the development, which also include education, nutrition and health, and human settlement. Although discussed here, education is a cross-cutting theme that underpins all pillars. Palau has achieved universal school enrollment, but of equal importance, on any given school day, 95% of school-aged children are in the classroom. As a result of consistent attendance and quality instruction, 97% of children achieve mastery of basic literacy and numeracy skills when sitting, Pacific regional standardized examinations at the beginning of years 5 and 7. Yes, universal enrollment in school is the law. Still, universal participation results from fee-free education in schools with running water, flush toilets, electricity, internet connectivity, free transportation, and free lunches. Very few school systems provide this range of free services, and Palau do so because we have a strong political and public commitment to education. As a nation, we believe in education both as goal in its own right and as an enabler for resilient, sustainable, and equitable development. Speaking as a Minister of Education, it is our vision that Palau students will be successful in Palau society and the world. In 2017, we developed a new 10-year education master plan that integrates the SDGs, a third in the last 25 years. Within the plan, we have 3 strategic priorities. One, which are implementing in partnership with the Ministry of Health and with civil society, is strengthening early childhood education and care. While we have high rates of enrollment in formal preschool and kindergarten, according to UNESCO 2017, it was estimated 83% participation. We are committed to working towards free and universal pre-primary education by establishing kindergartens in remote islands, which have previously been excluded from the pre-primary network. If we want to achieve educational excellence, we must reach young parents and support them to provide educational enrichment during the formative first 3 years of a child's life when children are not yet in direct contact with the education system. 2, we have developed a strategy to upgrade teacher quality in remote schools, and in doing so, improve student performance, especially in reading. Finally, we need to do a better job of tracking our students after high school so we can monitor their progression while simultaneously evaluating our sector performance. Within this pillar, health is of course key. Like many countries, we face an epidemic of non-communicable diseases rooted in changing lifestyles and diets. As a nation, we pay the price in rising rates of chronic diseases, resulting in reduced life expectancy. In education, we have responded. We have integrated non-communicable diseases into our science curriculum. We now offer health, physical education as a mandatory graded subjects in grades 1 to 12 so that students and their parents can take this course seriously. We've revamped our school lunch programs to reflect the health messages we teach, and we've added after-school programs that encourage physical activities. In this context and update information, given the Palau Master Plan, Education Master Plan, the 10-year Master Plan, that to have our students to be successful, not just in Palau, but the rest of the world when they're out there, our students did participate in 2012, 2015, and 2018 Pacific Islands Literacy and Numeracy Assessment of all 14 Pacific Island countries. Our students at the beginning of year 5 and year 7 performed at 99.7% in numeracy, 96% at literacy. So the main concentration that now that we, at this point, with a big support from government infrastructure, is how well we can promote essential skills that our students need to know. Would that be to read, talk, and write about what they read? Those 3 are the key elements that we are pursuing at this day. That by the time, with these 3 benchmarks, grade 3, grade 6, and grade 10, by the time they reach grade 10, they would be eligible, they can perform as a first-year college in writing and reading. All the public schools in Palau are now Western Association of Schools and Colleges accredited, along with 5,000 schools in the Pacific, Western United States, Asia, and here in Africa. All the grades now the last 10 years, we've been implementing a career and technical education in its grade. But this, moving forward, we're implementing a professional learning communities in each of the schools every Monday afternoon. The teachers are not so isolated as it has always been the practice. There are 2-minute segments on Fridays dedicated to literacy and numeracy that students and teachers will have time to learn those two essential skills to succeed beyond high school. Since independence in 1994, Palau have continuously expanded its economy, achieving near universal employment while steadily reducing poverty. In 2008, the basic needs poverty rate was 25%. 6 years later, in 2014, the rate has fallen to 19%. Looking at my time, I'm quickly running out of time. I will move to the last segment of this presentation about peace, participation, and partnership, because we find partnership to be a critical area that why Palau has progressed to today as we know it. In brief, Palau civil society organizations, non-governmental organizations, NGOs, and community-based organizations work together in partnership with an umbrella organizations known as Palau Association of Non-Governmental Organizations, serve as a coordinating body that liaises within our government, partners, members, and community. The most important roles for our CSOs now is putting more emphasis on working with health sector in addressing non-communicable diseases in our communities. We also have special ed programs which has existed since the 80s. Special ed students geared for cognitive, physical disabilities are already in the schools. They are mainstreamed within the school community, and that's how we address them from 0 to 21 years of age. With all that, I would like to take this time again and to thank each and every one of you for this opportunity. Thank you.
I hope this works. Hello again. I do empathize and I do identify with the issues facing island nations like Maldives and Palau. I come from a country with 7,000 islands, so it's a bit of a struggle to be able to integrate much of the education requirements. Now, moving on, we have the Secretary of State of Cambodia, Dr. Samor Angkirat. Sir, may we invite you to please address the group.
Bonjour à toutes et à tous. Je me permets de faire une petite présentation très brève en ce qui concerne la situation de l'éducation inclusive et équilibrée au Cambodge. C'est parce que là, je ne vais pas parler de notre système éducatif tout entier, mais c'est tout simplement les aspects concernant l'éducation inclusive et équilibrée au Cambodge. Tout d'abord, je tiens à remercier le gouvernement du Djibouti qui nous a invités à participer à ce 3e forum, c'est-à-dire la délégation du Cambodge. On est 3 à participer à ce forum et jusqu'à maintenant, on peut dire que le séjour à Djibouti est très agréable pour nous. Je passe maintenant, je pense que j'ai aussi la présentation sur PowerPoint, mais peut-être le technicien ne peut pas passer cette présentation là sur l'écran. Bon, je commence tout de suite à vous présenter la situation, l'état des lieux de l'éducation inclusive et équilibrée au Cambodge. Je voudrais vous dire qu'au Cambodge, nous avons 24 minorités ethniques qui vivent surtout dans les zones montagneuses et dans les zones, dans les plateaux, sur les plateaux du Cambodge. Et il compte à peu près 250 000 habitants qui se propagent, qui se divisent par plusieurs groupes ethniques, c'est-à-dire si on veut parler des grands groupes ethniques au Cambodge, nous avons pu recenser 24 au total. En ce qui concerne les gens avec la mobilité réduite, c'est comme vous le savez, le Cambodge c'est un pays post-conflit, c'est-à-dire nous avons eu la guerre civile jusqu'à 1998. C'est que 1998 que nous avons pu retrouver la paix totale dans notre pays. Et comme résultat, après cette guerre fratricide, il nous reste plus de 30 000 personnes avec la mobilité réduite. Et parmi eux, nous avons à peu près 32 000 enfants qui ont l'âge de 0 à 14 ans. En ce qui concerne les enfants avec, c'est-à-dire les enfants vulnérables, au Cambodge, même si nous avons la croissance économique de 7% par an, mais jusqu'à maintenant, nous avons notre taux de pauvreté, c'est moins de 10%. Et on voit bien que les enfants qui sont parmi les moins de 10%, parmi les 15 millions d'habitants, nous avons les enfants qui viennent des familles vulnérables, qui viennent des familles pauvres et qui demandent également notre assistance, notre intervention afin qu'ils puissent aller à l'école correctement. En fait, la vision du gouvernement cambodgien, c'est que notre gouvernement veut amener notre pays à un pays à revenu intermédiaire, un pays intermédiaire inférieur à un pays à revenu intermédiaire supérieur en 2030. Ça, c'est pour la vision moyen terme, et pour la vision long terme, notre gouvernement va amener notre pays à un pays développé en 2050. Et c'est pour ces deux raisons-là, la formation des ressources humaines est très importante pour notre pays, parce que là, si nous pouvons donner une éducation de qualité à tous, à toutes et à tous, ça veut dire que nous pouvons former nos jeunes pour pouvoir entrer dans le marché de travail qui est très compétitif à l'heure actuelle. Et nous parlons beaucoup de l'éducation, c'est-à-dire l'objectif du développement durable pour 2030. Personne n'est oublié. Ça veut dire que notre gouvernement doit faire beaucoup d'interventions pour que tous les enfants, pour que tous les jeunes puissent accéder à l'éducation de qualité. Notre gouvernement est conscient des capitaux humains qui sont considérés comme des conditions sine qua non pour le développement du pays. Et c'est pour cette raison que depuis 2013, le gouvernement augmente le budget pour l'éducation d'une année à l'autre. Et si on compare le budget pour l'éducation de 2013 à 2020, nous pouvons voir que le gouvernement a quadruplé le budget pour l'éducation. C'est aussi inscrit dans la politique, la stratégie rectangulaire du gouvernement royal du Cambodge pour ce 6e mandat du gouvernement. C'est que la formation des capitaux humains est une des priorités de notre gouvernement. Le ministère de l'Éducation, de la Jeunesse et des Sports du Royaume du Cambodge est conscient que tous les enfants ont droit fondamental à l'éducation et ils devront obtenir des opportunités de façon égale pour atteindre et garder les niveaux d'apprentissage à leurs besoins et aux besoins du marché de l'emploi et du moteur économique du pays. Notre système éducatif devrait être façonné de telle sorte que toutes les diversités des enfants, leurs propres caractéristiques, leurs intérêts et leurs habilités, ainsi que leurs besoins d'apprentissage soient pris en compte. C'est dans ce sens-là que nous parlons de l'éducation inclusive et équilibrée dans le cadre du Cambodge. C'est comme je vous ai présenté au début que nous avons des minorités ethniques, nous avons des enfants avec la mobilité réduite, nous avons des enfants vulnérables. Et là, le ministère de l'Éducation a pris beaucoup d'actions, a entrepris beaucoup d'actions afin que le service de l'éducation puisse arriver à tous ces enfants-là. Pour ces raisons, en août 2019, le ministère de l'Éducation a adopté un plan d'action sur l'éducation multilingue et qui a pour objectif d'élargir l'éducation équitable, inclusive et durable au service des minorités ethniques et surtout les enfants provenant des groupes indigènes. L'objectif est de renforcer également la qualité de l'éducation multilingue en relation avec la langue maternelle des enfants provenant des groupes des minorités ethniques du Cambodge et aussi de donner ce qu'on appelle l'éducation sur la culture, sur les mœurs, sur la tradition de ces enfants pour que ceux-ci puissent préserver leur identité. L'objectif est aussi de promouvoir la participation des communautés et des minorités ethniques ainsi que toutes les parties prenantes afin qu'ils prennent conscience de l'importance de donner un service de qualité, une éducation de qualité à tous ces enfants-là. Et en juillet 2019, c'est-à-dire l'année dernière, le gouvernement du Cambodge a adopté la politique nationale sur l'apprentissage tout au long de la vie. Cette politique a plusieurs objectifs, mais je cite ici seulement 3 objectifs qui concernent éducation inclusive et équilibrée. Le premier, c'est d'offrir des services d'apprentissage tout au long de la vie à tous les Cambodgiens. À ce point, je voudrais vous soulever que nous avons établi plusieurs programmes destinés aux ouvriers des usines qui ne savent pas lire et écrire. Nous pouvons leur donner une éducation sur la lecture et sur l'écriture afin que ceux-ci puissent promouvoir leurs compétences en termes de lecture et d'écriture. Et nous avons également le programme de cours d'alphabétisation dans les prisons. Nous avons également installé des bibliothèques dans les prisons afin que les prisonniers puissent profiter de leur temps libre pour accéder aux services de l'éducation. Le deuxième point concernant le développement du programme de l'apprentissage tout au long de la vie avec la diversité et la flexibilité afin de répondre aux besoins des apprenants. Et le troisième, c'est d'encourager les ministères, les institutions concernées, les institutions privées et les partenaires de développement à supporter et à mettre en place l'apprentissage tout au long de la vie. Actuellement, nous sommes en train de faire ce qu'on appelle un plan de carrière pour nos enseignants. C'est le ministère de l'Éducation qui commence le premier. Et ce plan de carrière-là est pour l'objectif de promouvoir l'apprentissage tout au long de la vie. Et en juillet 2019 aussi, le ministère de l'Éducation a adopté un autre plan d'action sur l'apprentissage tout au long de la vie afin qu'on puisse mettre en œuvre ce que nous souhaitons faire pour promouvoir l'éducation inclusive auprès de toutes nos populations. Pour le ministère de l'Éducation, nous souhaitons développer tous les Cambodgiens afin de les équiper le savoir-faire, le savoir-être, la bonne physique et la valeur humaine pour contribuer à l'économie et promouvoir l'harmonisation de chacun, de la famille, etc. Bon, ça c'est la vision du ministère, c'est-à-dire nous souhaitons que nos citoyens soient équipés des savoirs, des savoir-faire, des savoir-être afin de pouvoir contribuer au développement du pays, c'est-à-dire à la réalisation de la vision de notre gouvernement qui souhaite amener notre pays à un pays développé en 2050. Pour toutes ces raisons, c'est-à-dire pour réaliser la vision de notre ministère, le ministère a entrepris les actions en faveur de la réforme éducative pour la qualité de l'éducation de notre pays. C'est-à-dire on se base sur 5 piliers de réforme, à savoir la formation des enseignants et des chefs d'établissement, ça c'est le premier pilier. Le second pilier concernant la révision des programmes scolaires et l'environnement des écoles et des centres de formation, la révision des méthodes d'enseignement et la sensibilisation des nouvelles méthodes auprès des enseignants. Le troisième pilier concerne l'évaluation des acquis scolaires de toutes formes. Le quatrième, c'est l'inspection et le coaching et le mentorat. Et le cinquième, c'est l'enseignement supérieur et la recherche. Nous souhaitons également vous informer que pour le dernier, c'est la première fois que nous avons appliqué ce qu'on appelle un projet, une approche axée sur l'école qui relie entre l'université et les écoles, c'est-à-dire l'université, ils font ce qu'on appelle la recherche scientifique, quelque chose comme ça, pour répondre aux besoins en termes de méthodes d'enseignement pour les écoles secondaires. Voilà ce que je voudrais vous présenter comme information concernant l'éducation inclusive et équilibrée au Cambodge. Et nous espérons que dans le futur, nous pouvons réaliser ce que nous souhaitons faire et nous pouvons donner un accès à l'éducation de qualité à tous nos apprenants cambodgiens, sans oublier personne. Je vous remercie de votre aimable attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sam Ur of Cambodia. We now move on to our fourth panelist, His Excellency the Honorable Dulas, he is the Minister of Education of Sri Lanka. Please, a big round of applause for him.
Good morning, everybody. The distinguished delegates of the third ForumBIE, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I wish to extend my sincere appreciation for your invitation to Sri Lanka to participate in this convention, and it's a pleasure to be here as the Minister of Education, Sports and Youth Affairs to witness the deliberations. I wish to share with you the workings and the experience of the Sri Lanka education system as an island nation near Indian subcontinent with a well-documented history over 3,000 years. Sri Lanka introduced free education policy in 1944. Education from primary to higher education, including state universities, is provided free of tuition fees. Our country stands out in educational achievement amongst all developing nations. The formal school enrollment reached 90%, reaching back to 1970. When the world community signed the Education for All on 26th March 1990 in Djibouti, Thailand, and set enrollment target to achieve by 2015 at 95%, Sri Lanka has already reached that milestone by 1990. Today, in Sri Lanka, every school-age child is in school. And if there is anyone out of school, it's considered as a rare case. Of the school entries, 99.9 completes the 5-year primary education cycle. 89.5 completes 9 years of junior secondary education. 85% completes 11-year educations. You all may agree with me that this is a remarkable achievement for any nation. Having a well-established public health system and a sound prenatal and postnatal care in the management of pregnancy and providing effective postnatal care has helped to reduce disabled children in general. Blindness at birth seems to be becoming a rare case in my country. Although we are a high-performing nation in general education, Sri Lanka in its current context is posed with a challenge aligning education with the 21st century's demand of creating a knowledge economy whilst mitigating the disparities in the system. The census and statistics of Sri Lanka indicates that the disability population is 8.7. Actually, it is 1.6 million. When it comes to children with disabilities, we too have to accept that we do not have well-developed inclusive education system in Sri Lanka. Our statistics of 2018 indicated that 16,000 children with disabilities in the primaries have not received a proper education due to many reasons. The accessible facilities in the school system required further improvement in the future. The UN Convention on the Right of the Child was adopted in Sri Lanka in 1986, and inclusive educational policy, regardless of personal differences, had been put into practice in Sri Lanka school systems. We always concerned on protecting child rights when we make education policies and plans and implemented them accordingly. Newly elected President of Sri Lanka, His Excellency Gotabaya Rajapaksa, is well aware of the challenges in our education system. He has already pledged to implement inclusive education concept in an effective manner by allocating required resources, making legal provisions and policy changes to address the already identified gaps, aiming education for all a reality at ground level in the coming years in order to make children with disabilities equal partners in the national development in our country. There are special concerns on inclusive education that Sri Lanka is currently addressing since the ending of 30 years terrorist war in the year 2009 is the damage that has happened to human life during that, especially in the war-torn areas, which is the unforgettable site of trauma, disability, repressed, slow learning, etc. The influence on the communities who have been directly impacted by the war is more prevalent than in the rest of Sri Lanka. The government of Sri Lanka has taken many efforts to mitigate such situations, and the development partners have also helped in establishing special interventions and taking formidable action to overcome such limitations. In the war-zone areas, the time taken to effectively adapt inclusive education and normalize is expected to be slightly higher than other areas. As a government, we are sensitized to these prevailing situations and proactive attempts put in progress to mitigate these situations going forward. Furthermore, disability needs to be traced early and effectively monitored without prolonging the situation until the child reaches the schooling age, at which point it can be considered too late. The delays in providing medical and psychological care for such children aggravates the problem. Sri Lanka, together with the development partners in UNICEF, is trying to go a step further to identify such children early on in order to extend a balanced, inclusive action at early childhood. Our government is eager to carry out the status of children survey annually, if not every other year. This survey will be an instrumental guiding tool for us to address the discussed issues early on in a child life, thereby allowing us to take proactive action to mitigate the impact. In that context, we are eagerly looking forward for a fruitful partnership with the Education Relief Foundation and for your continued support to achieve the goal of balanced and inclusive education for each and every child in our country. Closing my speech, I wish to state that this conference is an important event that will lay the foundation for the current and future generations to be part of a more inclusive and knowledge-driven society, whilst reaping the benefits of a structured and holistic approach to education in general. On behalf of the government of Sri Lanka, I would like to take this opportunity to extend my sincere gratitude and appreciation to all of you for your invaluable contribution in making this event a great success. Finally, I convey my thanks to the government of the Republic of Djibouti, for hosting this international endeavor and for the hospitality extending to us during the stay in Djibouti. Thank you very much.
Asia and the Pacific countries would seem like, these are very far countries from where we are right now. But listening to the panelists that we have this morning, you have a sense that the challenges, the issues, as well as the possibilities in inclusive education is very much shared with just about all the regions in the world. I would like to now open the floor to questions. If you have any questions, please raise your hand. I want you to first introduce yourself, your organization, and the country where you come from, and ask your questions straight. So the gentleman at the back is raising his hand. Sir, you're recognized. Please.
Good morning. My name is Roberto Escalante. I am the Secretary General of the Association of Latin American and Caribbean Universities. I am based in Mexico. We have heard that all the panelists have gave us very interesting numbers about the coverage of basic education in the countries. I agree that that is a good result by itself. However, I wonder whether we can consider that by just having these high numbers of coverage, the problem of education, in this case of basic education or primary education, is resolved in terms of, for instance, how many of those children, what happens to those children, I mean, in their lives? Are they successful? Do they finish, I mean, the basic education? How they insert themselves in the labor market? What happens? Because sometimes we say, well, we have 80%, 90% coverage of basic education. And that's very good, yes, but not enough. I mean, so I would like to have the reaction from our panelists about what do they think in terms of, is just high numbers of coverage enough? Or we should look at other things like content of what are we teaching our students and how they progress or not in the future. Thank you.
That's a very interesting question. You are actually preempting the session that will happen later this morning, as there is a special session on how do we prepare our students for the world of work. But as it is, the question is directed to all our panel members. This is on, how you're able to measure and make sure that the kids are moving towards work. Make sure that education is aligned with the requirements of the labor market. That's how I understand the question. So please.
In Sri Lanka, our numbers is, I have already told the audience that almost 16,000 with disabilities. Currently, we are running at an operational capacity of 26 schools. But current standards and facilities are not that much well equipped. No substantial enough to include the larger base of disabled kids. So modernizing and expanding facilities for all disabled kids is our utmost responsibility. So that is why we are representing, as a country, we are representing this forum too. So having these kids for the development, I mean, our capacity will be enhanced, and the large number of kids without going to school, without having proper skills, soft or hard skills, is in this century, we think it's not fair for everybody. So as a country and as a government, we are trying our best to get them to the mainstream. We have obstacles. We have to overcome these obstacles.
Right, yeah, yes.
Pour le cas du Cambodge, en ce qui concerne les enfants avec la mobilité réduite, nous comptons actuellement 32 000. Ces 32 000-là, nous avons également 5 écoles spéciales, 5 écoles spéciales pour ces enfants avec la mobilité réduite, mais nous ne pouvons pas couvrir tous ces enfants-là. C'est-à-dire les 5 écoles pour les enfants avec la mobilité réduite, on peut les scolariser à peu près 800 élèves par an, tout simplement. C'est comme Monsieur le ministre vient de soulever, vous savez très bien que le coût pour les équipements pour les enfants avec la mobilité réduite est très très cher, et le gouvernement a déployé beaucoup de moyens en fonction également de notre moyen afin de pouvoir élargir le programme, ce qu'on appelle l'éducation spéciale pour tous ces enfants-là. Au Cambodge, nous avons également le programme intégré, c'est-à-dire on peut les intégrer dans les écoles normales, les écoles standards, avec les enfants normaux, si on souhaite le dire. C'est que, mais par contre, même si on peut les intégrer dans les écoles normales, mais dans ces écoles-là, il faut créer des classes spéciales pour ces enfants-là. Sauf c'est qu'on peut régler, on peut résoudre le problème de distance pour les enfants avec la mobilité réduite, c'est-à-dire au lieu de se mobiliser dans les écoles, dans les 5 écoles qui sont dans 5 provinces, on peut les mettre dans les écoles qui se trouvent à côté de leur maison. Le problème, c'est-à-dire le défi pour nous ici, c'est que les parents des enfants ayant la mobilité réduite ne sont pas encore au courant des services de l'éducation que notre gouvernement peut donner, et ils gardent, certains parents gardent toujours leurs enfants à la maison, parce que là, il faut que nous sensibilisions les parents au niveau des informations concernant les services que nous pouvons donner à ces enfants avec la mobilité réduite. Voilà ce que... et je pense que la question concerne également l'éducation de base pour le Cambodge. En ce qui concerne l'éducation de base, nous avons gagné notre pays, c'est-à-dire l'éducation pour tous, sachant que nous pouvons scolariser les enfants jusqu'à 98%, c'est-à-dire c'est seulement 2% d'enfants qui sont en dehors de notre système éducatif. Et comme vous le savez, que ces 2%-là, c'est vraiment difficile à atteindre parce qu'ils se mobilisent par-ci, par-là, etc. Et on a du mal à les trouver afin de les mettre dans notre système éducatif. Voilà ce que je voudrais vous partager pour le moment. Merci.
Thank you for that question. It was included in my presentation, however, I was conscious of time, so the really big challenge that we're facing as a country is a brain drain. I guess that would be a problem if you really prepare these kids for post-secondary or the world of work, because for lack of bigger universities, our students will be educated elsewhere. And once they're done, they tend to stay elsewhere. And not most of them do come. So the student tracking as it is still a challenge for Palau. However, there are actions that we've taken through the Palau National Scholarship Program. One of them is to try and lure graduate students to come in to Palau and to paid work as an internship program so that they can see what's happening, what are their interests in their junior and senior year. The other one is a loan program to have graduates, newly graduate out there, come in, take that, while we pay for their loans, give them loans to continue their education. When they get back home to work for certain years, those loans will be forgiven. And a very big part of that as well, as a lifelong learner, as leaders of education, we also have to serve as role models. I too also, myself is a recipient of the scholarship program. I'm completing a dissertation right now. And so as a role model, I want our kids, our parents, community to see that it's happening. It can happen through our locally based program to have the kids get educated and to return home or stay home. So thank you for the question, and I hope I answered it. Thank you.
Thank you for the question. In Maldives, 12 years of education is mandatory. Though we have access, again, it is when we consider the geographic distribution, the quality of education in different islands, it differ. And major challenges that we face are getting quality teachers in all of our schools. Actually, being a very small country, we have 214 schools, one in each island. So providing all the facilities, all the resources and quality teachers to all these islands, it is a challenge for us. And when considering inclusive education, there are students who can't come to the school due to physical disabilities or other disabilities, but we have a way of reaching out to them through a homeschooling program. We have 4 different types of inclusive education or special education methods that are provided in the Maldives. One is, as I just told you, inclusive education. The second is we bring them to the school and They are in the school for 2 to 3 hours, and they are actually put in the mainstream classrooms. And the third method is totally putting them in the mainstream classroom and going to inclusivity. But we do have, as all the other ministers said, we also have some obstacles and challenges. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Now, those are very substantive discussions, sharing on the issue of preparing our students for the world of work. As I've mentioned earlier, there's going to be a session, there's a special session, that's session number 4, to talk about student preparation and how best they can serve the world. And it actually goes beyond the question of us in education providing the labor necessary for the market to move forward. So it really goes beyond that. But as it is, the discussion this morning is substantive, and my suggestion, if you have any other questions from the floor, yes, we will have this. Yes, ma'am, you will be the last person to ask the question. For the rest, if you have any other questions to the ministers, please do so. Try to have coffee with them later on. Please introduce yourself. I'm sorry, ma'am. Neo, right? Neo, please, if you can speak slowly so that they can catch up on the question. So what exactly is the question, ma'am?
The question is, how do we ensure that we provide early identification and intervention to our children? Basically, I would want to hear how the health sector and education sector are actually working together to ensure that we identify our children early and make sure that we follow them through in their education process until they complete their education. The other question is regarding the children that got from schools due to psychosocial issues. What interventions do we have for them, and to make sure that we retain them in our schools until they complete their formal education? I know it's the challenge with many education systems. So really I just want to learn from them how they are doing that, because they've indicated that they achieve almost
Yes.
higher success rate.
Yes, yes, right. Thank you very much. The question is about mental health of young people and how it impacts on education, the state of things in your country, please.
In Maldives, with the current government, we started a health screening program. In the early stages, in the foundation stage, during the health screening, we identify students who are susceptible to have learning difficulties or other disabilities, and we refer them to a medical facility. And from there, they will be continued. But it's at the very early stages, we need to develop on that.
Thank you.
Actually, although we are high performing at general education, we are still struggling with this identification process. So identification, early identification, as you said, it's not that much easy task for each country. Even I think even in the Western developed countries might have this challenge. We are struggling. And I was appointed as the Minister of Education just 8 weeks ago. But our secretary, the additional secretary, is over there. He might have most effective answer than me on this regard. Mr. Atnayaka, can you?
Raise your hand.
Yeah.
Raise your.
Yeah, he's the additional secretary to the ministry, and he's working over there for decades.
Thank you. Okay, okay, let us just proceed. Yes, Dr. Sam, would you want to?
I just raised about related to early identification the children with disability. In Cambodia, we have also the mechanism that we install in the primary school to identify the children with special needs and with but we cannot do in every school because in our country we have more than 7,000 primary schools. So we can touch about 30%, something like that, in the primary school. So the remaining children that we cannot touch on, we base also on the data provided by the village, by the chief of a village, by the chief of a commune, by the head center, so that we can give the intervention on time. And related to the second question about the dropout, you know well, because according to our experience, we cannot formulate the model intervention to each school, to each zone. We have to understand why they drop, and in the Cambodian context, you know, the student parent play a crucial role in the education of their children. So if we can work on with the community, work with the chief of commune, the chief of village, the authority, local authority, or something like that, we can give intervention on the dropout, and we can reduce the dropout rate in those commune, those community. Thank you.
Let me take this 2 minutes and try and answer only the first question. The partnership of the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Health is an enduring one. Identification of students or children with disabilities starts during pregnancy. This is where the healthcare people would contact our special ed personnel and say, hey, this is what's happening, whether it's learning disability or physical ability. And that's where the law takes effect that covers 0 to 21 years of age. And that time, because by law, the health, by constitution, the health is free according to all the citizens of Palau. So they've been coming to school not just for the special education program, but for dental and immunizations. But to try and answer the question is that the special ed program within the Ministry of Education is working closely on a daily basis with the Ministry of Health to identify not just physical but learning disabilities as well. So that's the program that we've been doing over the years. Thank you.
How I wish we have more time to be with the ministers and the Secretary of State, but time is limited. You know, we have nothing but really deep appreciation for your presence and for the insights, as well as sharing with us, you know, your own experiences in trying to manage some of the more difficult issues facing our young people, the issue of work, as well as the issue of mental health. Now, for us in the audience, if you have any questions to our ministers, please try to talk to them. They look very much approachable. So when you have time, you know, and if you have any questions, you can feel free to come and ask them your questions. So with that, let's give a big round of applause to our panelists this morning. Okay, moving on. The next three sessions, that's session 3, 4, and 5, provide a focus on topics like culture, student preparation, and classroom dynamics. And these are some of the more important really elements necessary in having a more balanced and inclusive education. So unlike session 2, this time for the next 3 sessions, there's really a particular topic, no, that we will be focusing on, and this includes culture, student preparation, and classroom dynamics. In the program for session 3, we're supposed to have two panelists. I was informed, however, this morning that Mr. Kula Tabusun, Nigerian linguist, writer, and cultural activist, would not be able to join us this morning. However, he sent a video, a 9-minute video clip that he wants to share with us. Isn't that nice? Now we have a lone panel for this session. May I call on the Honorable Vital Bambazi, Indigenous Peoples of Africa Coordinating Committee, IPAC. Sir? It will be interesting. He'll be addressing all your questions by his lonesome self. So thank you very much. This is how we're going to proceed. We will listen to the Honorable Mr. Vital first before we view the 9-minute video that was prepared by our friend from Nigeria.
Bonjour à tout le monde. Et comme on l'a dit, moi, je m'appelle Vital Bambanze. Je suis du Burundi. Et je parle au nom des peuples autochtones qui est une communauté souvent marginalisée. Donc, avant de prendre la parole, je voudrais me joindre aux autres voix qui m'ont précédé pour remercier le gouvernement de la Djibouti et l'organisation IRF pour avoir organisé cet événement si important orienté sur un thème qui concerne la promotion et l'éducation, de l'éducation inclusive et équilibrée. Il nous a été sollicité de parler sur la question de comprendre notre diversité partagée pour forger un avenir collectif. Et là, je comprends aisément qu'on ne peut pas parler d'éducation sans parler de la diversité culturelle qui est le sens du fondement de la diversité émise sur la planète. Parlant de la diversité culturelle des peuples autochtones, on peut dire que les peuples autochtones s'évaluent entre 370 et 500 millions de peuples autochtones qui représentent plus de la moitié de la diversité culturelle et ils parlent à peu près 7000 langues vivantes sur la planète Terre. Cependant, malgré cette diversité, on constate malheureusement que les peuples autochtones, dans leur pays, vivent la marginalisation, la discrimination, l'exclusion, souvent dans plusieurs domaines de la vie nationale, que ce soit au niveau économique, social, politique et culturel. Et cela est valable au niveau de l'Afrique, Europe, Asie, Amérique latine et du Nord, Océanie, malgré l'adhésion de ces États aux instruments internationaux, régionaux et nationaux de protection des droits des peuples en général et ceux des peuples autochtones en particulier. On peut noter que beaucoup d'États ont voté pour la Déclaration des Nations Unies sur les droits des peuples autochtones et d'autres se sont alliés aux États qui ont ratifié la Convention 169 de la BIT sur les peuples tribaux et forestiers. Cela étant, nous, les peuples autochtones, nous considérons que la diversité culturelle constitue la réponse appropriée à l'aspiration des peuples à se développer dans un environnement où toutes les cultures peuvent s'épanouir. Un véritable dialogue des cultures contribue justement à la richesse de l'humanité selon la conception et l'appréhension des peuples autochtones. Pour nous, en tant que peuples qui vivent avec l'environnement, surtout la diversité forestière et des ressources naturelles, nous considérons que la diversité culturelle est un levier du développement, dans ce sens-là que la diversité culturelle donne à notre vie sa richesse, sa couleur et son dynamisme. C'est une ouverture cognitive et intellectuelle et un moteur de développement social et de la croissance économique. Nous y croyons fort dans nos croyances que dans la richesse de la diversité, la culture a une valeur intrinsèque aussi bien pour le développement, pour que la cohésion sociale et la paix soient une réalité sur le monde. Nous, les peuples autochtones du monde, nous connaissons que les connaissances traditionnelles sur lesquelles sont fondées nos communautés contribuent à un dynamisme inhérent au système de conservation de la nature et l'adaptation au changement climatique qui sont d'actualité pour le moment. Nous savons que le réchauffement climatique, les impacts de ce changement climatique ne laissent aucun peuple indifférent quand il s'agit de la destruction de l'environnement avec un impact sur les vies humaines. Certaines communautés que nous connaissons ont des savoirs très différents qu'ils utilisent pour détecter, en collaboration avec les technologies modernes pour savoir si tel comportement d'un animal peut aider à savoir que tel endroit, tel moment, il y aura par exemple un problème de changement climatique, il y aura manque de pluie, et là ils peuvent s'adapter, et là ils peuvent savoir comment s'adapter pour dire au niveau de l'agriculture, on peut planter ou bien on peut changer de lieu pour pouvoir s'adapter. Et là souvent ce sont des termes négatifs qui sont collés à nos communautés pour dire que nous sommes des marginaux, que nous sommes des nomades, ainsi que nous n'avons pas de stabilité, non seulement politique, mais aussi économique. Nous pensons que l'interculturalité contribue dans une création d'un monde meilleur pour un avenir de tous sur Terre. Ainsi, le respect de la diversité des cultures, la tolérance, le dialogue et la coopération dans un climat de confiance et la compréhension mutuelle sont un des gages de la paix et la sécurité internationale. On ne peut pas dire qu'il y a une culture qui est supérieure à une autre. Le respect entre les peuples constitue une création d'un climat de confiance pour des générations futures afin d'atteindre une éducation équilibrée et inclusive qui fait objet de ce forum aujourd'hui. Le processus de mondialisation, facilité par l'évolution rapide de nouvelles technologies, de l'information, de la communication bien équilibrée, constitue un défi justement. Mais nous pensons que la diversité culturelle crée les conditions d'un dialogue renouvelé entre les cultures et les civilisations. Voilà pourquoi nous pouvons parler des objectifs du développement durable pour lesquels tous nous aspirons pour avoir un développement inclusif, et je vous remercie.
At this point, I think we're ready for that 9-minute video that was prepared by Mr. Kula from Nigeria. The sound? Before the audio, as it is, the audio and the video is being fixed, I would want to take this time to invite any one of you who would have any question for the Honorable Bambazi. Is there any question from the floor? Yes, ma'am, you're recognized. Please state your name, your organization, and where you're from. The lady at the back, please. We can't hear you. Can you hear her? No. I recognize only two. We do have a wireless microphone, I understand. Please make use of that. Is there anyone who can okay, ma'am, yes, please proceed. Okay. While waiting for the microphone, may I recognize the Minister
Thank you very
of,
much for allowing this intervention. I want to thank Honorary Vital Bambisi for his presentation. My name is Sandy Morrison. I come from an Indigenous community in New Zealand. We're known as Maori. And I just want to concur with everything I've heard. Within my country, in New Zealand, when it comes to balanced and inclusive education, we have our policies which are very much part of the policy scenario. So that has developed so that we actually have our own preschools, schools, and even universities where we can teach our philosophies and our values in our own language. And many of our teachers are required to understand Maori language before they can actually be qualified and to understand the politics of being Indigenous. That really has helped the success of our Māori students at every level to be able to have successful educational outcomes. And where I work in the Faculty of Indigenous Studies at a university, we very much encourage and can help our students towards academic success and to play a vital role in the culture of New Zealand. So there's a lot more to be said. I think the validation of Indigenous knowledge, particularly in working to help solve these complex problems, which is what we heard with environmental constraints and climate change, can very much offer solutions in partnership with other knowledges to help towards resolution. So just a small contribution that I'd like to make coming from the Indigenous village of my community in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution, ma'am. May I request the Honorable Bambasi if you have any reaction, sir.
What we can't hear.
Ok. Ma sœur de la Nouvelle-Zélande n'a pas posé une question, mais elle a donné une contribution très importante que j'apprécie énormément en tant que représentant des peuples autochtones. Je voudrais signaler aussi ce que je n'ai pas dit dans ma présentation, que je suis parmi les membres de l'instance permanente des Nations Unies sur les questions autochtones. J'ai été nommé par des États africains. Justement, nous savons que nos cultures, nos valeurs traditionnelles et nos connaissances traditionnelles ont une large et une grande contribution dans la sauvegarde de l'environnement, dans la promotion politique et culturelle. Et vous avez dit qu'au niveau de Maori, en Nouvelle-Zélande, vous êtes éduqués dans vos langues, vous avez des écoles spéciales, ce qui est très important, mais nous considérons que chaque société vit des particularités. Au niveau, par exemple, de l'Afrique, on n'a pas encore atteint ce niveau. Et au niveau de l'éducation, nous sommes intégrés à des écoles des autres communautés. Et il y a toujours aussi des questions, comme je l'avais déjà dit dans ma présentation, de marginalisation, d'exclusion au niveau politique, au niveau économique. Mais nous pensons que justement, ce genre de forum, ce genre de dialogue international et nationaux peuvent nous amener justement à interchanger et à se comprendre mutuellement pour que justement la diversité sociale, nos différences puissent contribuer beaucoup plus dans la richesse au lieu de nous amener dans les divisions ou les perditions qui allaient dans le sens négatif. Moi, j'apprécie peut-être je vais avoir du temps pour qu'on puisse échanger en dehors de la salle et peut-être se renforcer mutuellement par rapport à votre expérience, à nos expériences, pour que justement puissions nos capacités puissent se marier entre nous.
Thank you very much, sir. At this point, may I formally recognize the Minister of Labor of Djibouti, who is here with us this morning. I understand he also would want to speak to the group, sir.
Hello and good morning.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Je voudrais à l'entame de mon intervention féliciter les uns et les autres pour l'organisation de ce forum. Et je voudrais dire aussi que le sujet sur la diversité culturelle importe beaucoup dans le domaine de l'éducation, puisqu'elle peut avoir une incidence particulière sur le développement d'une éducation raisonnée, réfléchie, qui puisse aboutir à des formations de qualité au niveau de nos pays. Et je pense que le développement de nos pays sont soutenus justement par cette formation réfléchie de bout en bout. Et donc je voudrais dire que l'intervention de notre collègue du Burundi est excellente. Elle concourt justement à promouvoir une éducation équilibrée et inclusive au niveau des pays qui très certainement aura également une portée en termes d'emploi et d'opportunités de travail et d'avenir pour les jeunes. Nous pensons que l'éducation inclusive et équilibrée peut être un atout important dans nos planifications en termes d'emploi pour nos pays en développement. Et on le sait tous, il y a évidemment une connexion très importante par rapport à la formation. Si la formation est bien planifiée et elle correspond à un projet de développement au niveau des jeunes pour l'emploi, je pense qu'on aura des résultats positifs. Et dans pratiquement tous nos pays, nous avons des difficultés à cerner la problématique de l'adéquation entre emploi et formation. Et pour justement arriver à cela, je pense que nous devons de manière collective y réfléchir dessus sur une éducation inclusive et intégrée dans le système de nos planifications pour le développement, et cela conformément aux objectifs de développement durable. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much, sir. I was told that the video is ready, so this is good for another 9 minutes. Let's view the video. Let's do that before we go on a break. But we need to really move fast because we still have 2 sessions this morning. Thank you.
Hello and good morning. My name is Kola Tubosun. I am a linguist, I'm a cultural activist, and believe it or not, I was also a teacher, a high school teacher of English, and educator in Nigeria. I currently work in London as a research fellow, and I want to first give you my apologies for not being able to make it to Djibouti because of a personal, family, and medical emergency. So I'm trying to make this video to make my own contribution to the topic of searching within culture, understanding our shared diversity to forge a collective future. It's a subject that I find very interesting, that I was really looking forward to being able to participate and contribute to at this forum, and one that is especially relevant to my work as a linguist and an educator in Nigeria, especially because of the role education and diversity play in the cultural cohesion and educational policy in the country Nigeria, where I'm from. Like I said, I'm a linguist, and much of my work has been in trying to understand how we can make language a tool of empowerment and innovation in Nigeria. Nigeria has about 521 languages, out of which about 20 is officially deemed either endangered or extinct. There are many more languages in the country today that are equally endangered or extinct, but we don't know because we haven't done enough to do research and to find out in what state of health many of these languages are. And because government policies have not always focused on providing a kind of knowledge, providing statistics, relevant statistics. When we do census, we don't ask what languages people speak, so we don't know how many languages exist in the countries that are in good health. But much of the work I do, again, in technology, I've worked with Google, I've worked with Oxford Dictionary, I've worked with a number of other organizations like that. Many of the work I've done have focused on finding ways to empower the languages that exist, and languages that have speakers, to be able to function in a society in a way that benefits the people who speak it. But this has surprisingly found a kind of resistance with people who feel that because of our diversity, we need to depend only on English as a way of cohesion. English is important. It's one of the most important languages of the world. In Nigeria, also because of our history with colonialism, it's also become one of the languages of, I want to use the word unity. It's a language that kind of brings everybody together in some way to communicate. Of course, we have a couple more languages like that, Hausa in the north. We have Pidgin, Nigerian Pidgin in the south. And almost throughout the country as well, which serves as a kind of fluid, a language of contact between everyone in the country. But they have not been enough, especially because in spite of its best efforts, English has not always responded to the needs of the people in terms of education and diversity and knowledge. Because again, the policies that brought English to us in the first place usually were not tailored towards really empowering people as much as making them skillful enough to be able to fit in the spaces that the colonialists who were there, were trying to develop. So many people went to grammar school and became like clerks or officers and stuff like that. And the syllabus were developed with those kind of specific needs in mind rather than an overall kind of inclusive education. Ironically, of course, when the British were around, there was still a number of efforts done for African languages. translations, book publications, novels, creativity, etc. But since the 80s, especially in Nigeria, there haven't been a lot of work done in those languages because we seem to have given up on the idea of developing languages at all. Nigeria is a unique country. We went through a civil war in 1967 to 1970, and some of the traumas of the war have also influenced policy and people's attitude to the idea of having individual languages in a country that work or that can be used as a way of empowering the people who speak them. So people are suspicious when you speak a language that your neighbor does not speak. Like, you know, is this person trying to tell me something? Is it trying to exclude me from the conversation or from what is going on? So this has become part of the problem that we have in trying to understand and empower the languages that exist. So my work has been in trying to understand and find the right answers to this question of how do we empower people in a country of such diversity, where English language as an external language, even though it has become sort of indigenized as a Nigerian language over time, I've written about this, but how do we empower people, you know, who speak these languages, different languages, and who have to live together in one country and build a country of cohesive nature, while still trying to make sure that, number one, the languages don't get endangered or fall out of use. As a linguist, I care about that, but also to make sure the languages are good enough and empowered enough to be able to help those people who speak them to be able to get along and to be able to thrive and become more productive members of society. So this has been the questions I've raised, and like I said, a number of people have raised issue with the suggestions I've made, many of which I've written about, that there are more ways in which we can empower the languages without actually endangering the cohesiveness that the country strives towards. Because yes, we want to build a nation where everybody feels belonging, and then we want to be able to empower languages to thrive and survive and be used in education and in literature and in technology without excluding other neighbors that we have in the country. So this has been the focus of my work, and I believe really that in conclusion, if we empower the languages we have in the country and empower people to be able to use them, especially in education from an early age, and this has been part of the policy in education for a long time, it just was never successfully implemented because of a number of reasons. If we allow or we pursue policies that empower the languages that we have in the country, languages where people use, and find ways of committing resources to making sure that they can be used in education and in governance, in policy, in literature, and in a number of ways in technology, which is also part of my work, then I believe that we will bring more people into society, into public life, into civic engagement, and more importantly, we'll be able to empower them to be able to be productive members of society. Yes, it might seem from afar that having such a multiplicity of voices is a kind of incongruous idea to the nature of cohesive nationhood. But I think on the contrary, actually empowering people to believe and feel comfortable in themselves is one step forward towards actually making them become more productive members of society. So I wish you a successful deliberation. I will be following the events, and I hope to learn a lot from hearing from what other members of the team do and contribute to the conference. So thank you very much, and I hope to see you at a different time. Bye.
Who made an effort of producing this video clip of himself, as well as to the Honorable Vital Bambazi, sir, for your contribution to the panel this morning. Now, friends, we are really running out of time, and instead of a 30-minute break, as your moderator, I am inviting you to go on a 15-minute break. Is that okay with you? Yes. Okay, so be back after 15 minutes. Thank you.
Because now lunch is but yes, if you can try not to limit intervention, right? Until 1. But it's best that we finish here at 12:30.
Oh yeah, I don't think if it's 12:30, I don't think we would have this.
Okay, so what time is it? So, okay, 1 hour. So we do this one, we finish maximum 12:30.
If I have like, so until 12:30, right?
Yes,
I
but
think because people are not even in.
Okay. No, but you can start.
Yeah, and that's what I'll do. And we'll see, and then I'll take my cue from you whether to proceed. Okay, friends, we will start with the fourth session. Welcome back to the hall. Session 4 covers the topic Education at the Service of Society, preparing students to address world challenges. Are you with me? Hello? Are you with me? Yes? You're with me. Okay, please take your seats. Now, this is a very interesting topic. Part of it has been raised earlier by one of you. A question was raised on the question of student preparation. The thing is, there's a diverse views on how best to prepare our students for the world of the future. So let's see what our panelists think about this topic. We have, for this morning, we have 3 panelists with us. And they're already seated here in front waiting for you. We have Professor Dr. Katarina Popovic, Secretary General of the International Council for Adult Education. Let's start looking at. Yeah, let's start.
Good morning, dear colleagues. Thank you very much, and first I want to thank to the organizer for inviting a civil society organization and giving us an opportunity to share some thoughts and ideas with you. And I want to thank them for the lovely evening we have enjoyed yesterday evening. I'll bring 3 points. We were told that PowerPoints is not something we should use, but I have 3 points and I hope they will have some power. So to every of the 3 points, I will add a few sentences about how they reflect in the way we teach students and learners in our work. So my first point is the need for the broad understanding of the topic of inclusion, the concept of inclusion. So it means especially that we have to be careful about multiple marginalizations and the ways that people could be excluded, especially from learning and education. And I will mention a group that was somehow neglected. That's my observation yesterday and today, and these are the adults. Why do I talk about adults as excluded group? Especially focusing on adults without basic education or illiterate adults. I'm talking about almost 800 million adult people around the globe. The data came from UNESCO, and 800 million are the people who are not able to read or write the single sentence. If they are not included in our educational programs, we are leaving almost 800 million people behind. And that's what SDG and the whole agenda is about. So we're also talking about education as a human right. And I have to say, it's the human right for everyone, not only for those until 16. And yesterday I wanted to criticize the Minister of Education from Djibouti because he said the state has an obligation to provide basic education to everyone until the age of 16. But now I have to withdraw and to correct myself because I found this lovely publication about the alphabetization program of adults in Djibouti. So it is a basic human right and it should be provided to anyone. One of the excellencies yesterday said in the presentation that we also need to teach parents. But not only the parents, we need to teach grandparents, neighbors, community members, teachers. Because if we invest only in the education of children, because we all agree they are our future, but if we don't work with the adults, there will be no future for that children. Because the planet cannot wait. We heard this morning about the climate changes and environmental problems. If we don't act immediately, right now, raising the awareness of adults, there won't be a good future and a good planet for these children. So if we don't invest in adults, parents, grandparents, neighbors, communities, investments in children's education will be wasting of money. But I will not fall into the trap talking about false prioritization, like either or. It should be both. And that's what we try to teach our students and learners. To find the ways to tackle the problems, to include really everyone. If you talk, for example, about literacy, then family literacy might be one of the approaches, or intergenerational learning. So if we don't have them all included, we will lose them all. So it shouldn't be either or. We shouldn't fall into this trap. And one more group that is also very much excluded are older people. So we are in International Council for Adult Education, we are following the implementation of SDG 4. And I can tell you, you in this room, if you're older than 40, 50, 60, the agenda is not for you. You're not there. Don't enter this lovely building of United Nations in Manhattan because lifelong learning is unfortunately not there. So older adults and older people are not there. Only in the rhetorics, in the title of SDG 4, but not in the implementation. So this is something that we should be aware when it comes to inclusion of everyone. My second point is that the whole burden should not be on the schools and education sector. We all do believe in education here. We share this belief. But we also share the frustration that we are trying to correct something that is wrong deep in the society, in the social structures. So if we expect to invest the money that is invested currently in education, and it's not much, and then to solve all the problems with the society, then it's mission impossible. So the inclusion should be in the public spaces, in media, everywhere. So schools and educational institutions should be only one part of that. So how do we deal with that in our educational work with students and learners? We try to teach them to be agents of changes, to make or to cause the changes in their everyday life and work. And we introduce the broader understanding of learning sites. Learning happens everywhere, not only in schools and in institutions. Learning happens in the media, on the job, in the family, in the community, in the neighborhood. So that's where inclusion should also take part. That's also where people learn, not only formally, but also in a non-formal and informal way. That's where we have to act if we want inclusion to be really part of the whole society and not only of educational sector. So, because we know the business as usual will not work. This is one of the things that was repeated related to the Agenda 2030, so we need a truly transformative learning. And my third point is probably the most important one, and it has to do with inclusion and dealing with inclusion, which will not deal only with the consequences, but with the deep roots of what's going on. It's the work that should address systemic issues and the causes of the problems. Being it, if you talk about, for example, inclusion of girls and women, going deep to the patriarchal structures that cause their exclusion from the education processes. If we talk about poor people and how they are excluded, then we should talk about access to resources. We should talk about unfair relationships among the countries, about the unfair trade, about the deep debts and debt circle, about tax dodging that make developing countries to lose huge amount of money that could be invested in education. For example, when I talk to Europe with my colleagues about immigrants, so I never allow them to be really satisfied, like, oh, we do help immigrants, we include them in education. It's not about that. Education should be talking and analyzing the causes. Why do they come? And I always ask my European colleagues, what have your government done, or what did they miss to do, so those immigrants had to leave the places where they live in? Because they didn't come voluntarily, most of them, they didn't. So going to the deep roots and causes of the problems. Also checking and making people aware of neoliberal and neocolonial practices in international relationships. Or talking about people with disabilities. So it's about systemic issues that cause the way they are treated. Because the way they are treated is always an indicator of how progressive or not progressive the society is. So it's not dealing with the consequences, but dealing with the deep roots and causes of the problems. Otherwise, we are only milding the situation and the consequences and not solving the problem. And how do we deal with this last issue, working with students? Well, we try to make them critical thinkers. We're not so much into digital skills in my organization. Not because we don't believe they are not important or something. Of course they are, but they could be easily learned. We know how it works today. You just press the button and you ask Google and you find all the kind of information and tutorials on the YouTube. But I believe the world is not suffering because of the lack of digital skills, online platforms, MOOC platforms, mobile phones and applications, learning applications. The world suffers more because of the lack of the values, because of the lack of tolerance, because of the lack of inclusion, because of the lacking resistance to populism, to fanatism, to fake news, and so on. So I think the education that should tackle the real problems of inclusion should develop values or help people to grow and be aware of the real values that would make people reflective thinkers and critical thinkers. That's what we International Council for Education are standing for. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Katarina. That is one insightful presentation, and she has just reminded us of the need to zoom out so that we get to see really the structural issues that we're up against when we talk about inclusion in education. So those are the three very good reminders for us. At this point, friends, may I call on our friend. He is a researcher from the Jesuit University of Guadalajara, Dr. Enrique Luengo.